Welcome to This Explainer. Look, today we're pushing way past the daily headlines. Think of this as an emergency briefing on the massive, deep-rooted forces that are literally rewiring our future right now. We're not just looking at isolated tech news here. We are tracking a massive, high-stakes collision of technology, economics, and geopolitics. Let's get into it.
So, here is the absolute most critical debate of our era. Are we heading for a technological utopia, or are we staring down an interconnected global breakdown? On one side, you've got people promising post-scarcity, right? Unbelievable productivity. But on the other, intense warnings of mass unemployment, failing power grids, and autonomous warfare. Our job today is to demand the evidence, challenge those base assumptions, and constantly ask, what actually happens next?
If you want to understand the sheer urgency of this, just listen to the architects actually building the technology. Entire job categories will be totally gone. Those aren't the words of some random tech skeptic. That's Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI. When the people with the highest level of visibility into these models are bluntly stating that entire categories of work are just gone, well, we have to cut through the PR spin. We need specific, logical answers about what society is going to look like in the next 5 to 10 years.
And to really grasp this, we have to adopt a specific framework. It's called a polycrisis, a situation where multiple global systems undergo radical change all at once, and the crises get completely entangled. They amplify each other. We literally can't look at the economy, the environment, and global security in silos anymore. They're locked together. So a massive shock in one system, like the sudden explosion of AI, triggers a rapid cascading chain reaction in all the others.
Cascade 1. The economic collision. We're moving right into the first major stress point.
What's fascinating here is the direct head-to-head confrontation between two extreme predictions. On one hand, you have commentators like Mo Gadot and Cenk Uygur warning of massive white-collar disruption by 2027. They're talking 10 to 25% unemployment, a total threat to the middle class, a kind of digital feudalism. But flip that around, and you've got figures like Kevin O'Leary and Andy Jassy pointing to historical tech disruptions. They're forecasting explosive, unprecedented S&P 500 productivity gains, massive capital investment, and the creation of entirely new jobs. It is a massive clash of realities.
But we have to push these arguments much harder. Look at Dario Amodei, CEO of Anthropic. He's openly saying AI could eliminate half of all entry-level white-collar jobs within 5 years, potentially pushing unemployment to 20%. Again, this is coming from the people building the tools. We aren't talking about a slow generational shift where a factory worker has 30 years to adapt. We're talking about highly skilled professionals, coders, analysts, administrators, facing a potential 50% wipeout in entry-level roles in just half a decade. And listen, it's not just sitting at a desk knowledge work. Physical labor is taking a hit at the exact same time. Elon Musk is predicting a future where there are far more robots in the world than people. He's talking about a ratio of humanoid robots to humans of like 2 to 1. I don't know about you, but those are tough odds to compete with on a warehouse floor. This is a total historical anomaly. We are witnessing the simultaneous disruption of both human intelligence and human muscle.
So let's ask the hard question. If human capital completely collapses as the primary asset for corporations, what happens next? Does the wealth just pool purely at the top with the people who own the AI? And if it does, are mechanisms like universal basic income actually mathematically feasible? Think about it. Can a professional who used to make $120 grand a year just survive on a $36,000 government stipend without extreme social unrest and political friction?
Cascade 2. The energy and geopolitical race. So what happens when that economic shock collides with massive resource demands? Because here's the thing. AI does not exist in a vacuum. It demands a staggering, physical, resource-heavy footprint. We are in a cutthroat global race to build it out. Look at the data here. A typical U.S. data center requires enormous power. But while the West debates grid capacity, reports indicate China built roughly 400 gigawatts of coal power in just 19 months to support AI platforms like DeepSeek. 400 gigawatts. And this forces us to look impartially at how different political systems are handling this. In the US, you have democracies struggling with immense local opposition. Everyday citizens who are rightly worried about their community power grids failing or their utility costs spiking by 30%. Strict environmental regulations are slowing things down. But the Chinese approach? Rapid, state-mandated coal expansion to fuel AI dominance with zero environmental pushback. The raw incentive here is geopolitical supremacy. Plain and simple, whoever wins the compute race controls the future.
The Cascade Institute maps this out brilliantly. You can see the exact points where AI acts as a massive stressor across our global systems. You've got the massive carbon footprint delaying the transition from fossil fuels, which strains the Earth's equilibrium. You've got unprecedented data center drains on our electrical grids, the security shift toward a multipolar world sparking an autonomous arms race, the economic shift threatening 2027 job displacement. It is literally the perfect storm, the ultimate polycrisis.
Cascade 3. The autonomous battlefield. And this brings us to the darkest implication of all. Because the nation that wins this AI race isn't just going to use it to, optimize their supply chains. They're going to deploy it militarily. We are watching the first true tech wars unfold as we speak. Drones with basic lawnmower engines taking out $3 million missiles. But the real game changer is the software. Militaries are designing autonomous kill boxes, designated areas where software is pre-approved to track targets with probabilistic large language models. The stated goal? Removing the human entirely out of the loop, just to maintain competitive speed. But as we rush to deploy these autonomous swarms, we slam into a massive ethical wall. Microsoft's AI CEO, Mustafa Suleyman, hits the nail on the head here. He says, quite bluntly, AIs cannot be people or moral beings.
We have to rigorously challenge the logic of using probabilistic machines in life-or-death scenarios. Think about how these models work. They're basically just guessing the next most likely outcome based on math and training data. So, can a probabilistic math equation accurately and consistently distinguish a combatant from a civilian under the strict rules of the Geneva Conventions? A lot of experts are looking at the evidence and arguing that it simply can't. Morality isn't just a math problem.
Navigating the tipping point. Let's pull all this together and ask, where does this actually leave us?
Let's map out the immediate horizon. Not decades from now, but the next few years. 2025, aggressive data center construction creating immense grid strain. 2026, potential black swan events popping up, like major power outages or AI cyber attacks. 2027, that's the predicted tipping point for mass professional job disruption. And by 2028, intense political collisions. We're talking massive fights over universal basic income, wealth concentration, and pure global AI supremacy.
Look, market analysts are already pricing these black swan risks in right now. They're preparing for things like extended power outages in major cities, purely because the grid can't handle the data center load, or rogue AI-generated superbugs escaping top cybersecurity firms, or sudden government moratoriums on data centers to stop runaway electricity costs. This is the polycrisis in real time. A failure in energy rapidly triggers a failure in the economy, which triggers a massive political crisis.
So I'm going to leave you with this. As this polycrisis deepens, and all these systems blur together into one massive cascade, can our current economic, political, and moral frameworks actually survive the sheer math and speed of the AI revolution? Or are we going to have to rapidly rebuild society from the ground up before the algorithms go ahead and do it for us? Keep asking questions, keep demanding evidence, and we'll catch you in the next explainer.